You're live.
Hi. Everybody put their headset on. We didn't see that coming. Welcome. Yeah, they're real funny, huh?
Hello?
We vowed to. Can you hear yourself?
No.
No, you can't hear yourself.
Well, then if everybody else can, that's good enough.
You ought to be able to hear yourself. Someone turned you down. No, I don't know why you can't hear yourself. It's not good. Well, this is a good start. The good news here is we vowed henceforth to start at 12 o'clock in 0 seconds. And that's what I told our director to do, and that's what he did. And as you could see, we were not quite ready. I don't even have the right glasses on. But welcome to 48th Parallel News at noon. And I'm Jeff Noedel. And with me is my co-host, Norris Palmer.
Hello.
And we will, there's Norris. You can see Norris there.
We hope.
And as we run around the table, we have a guest.
Yes, Theresa Semindinger.
You got it right. That's
Hello.
So welcome. Thanks for coming up today. I appreciate it. Short notice, but
I just happened to be ready because I just did a talk like this for the Seroptimists.
great.
Nice.
Jeremy, how's her audio? Seems a little soft.
It's all the way up. Punched.
All right. So that helped, whatever you just did. I think you turned off the shotgun mic, maybe?
I can trade hits.
She was, sorry, too close. She had her cough switch, which is now wired to the corner.
Okay. Well, anyway,
That's technical talk.
That's
getting off to a
Norris's.
rough start here. Sorry about that. So, again, the sound changed. Oh, that's your shotgun mic going on and off. Okay,
Me?
go ahead and turn that off.
You're good.
Thank you. So it is Friday, February 2nd, and we have a lot of odds and ends today. During our conversation, Matthew Rice is out in the field right now. Do we have a Zoom connection with him going right now, Jeremy? You don't have to turn your mic on. Just give me a thumbs up if we do. We assigned Matthew to go to Shipyard Cove, to Jackson Beach, and to South Beach. And so at different times, I may not stop us if we're in the middle of a conversation with our wonderful guest, but if you see a live picture from any of those three locations, that's something we started yesterday, and we're going to continue to kind of refine. But I think it's kind of cool while we're talking to see a live right now, while we're talking, this is what's going on at Shipyard Cove. And I don't know. I think it's neat. Do you think it's neat?
Well, I got a boat down there. I've been there.
Oh, should we have him check on your boat? Which
Would
slip?
you
What's the slip?
Z27. It's
Okay.
right there on the front. Tell me if it's still floating.
We have that worry. Our boat's in a different marina on a different island, and it's kind of scary. It's like,
I know.
there's no bilge pump in it either.
Oh, no.
It'll be okay. We check as often as we can. So anyway, if you see at different points the live shot from those three locations, that's something that we're kind of piloting this week and trying to get the kinks out. We did it yesterday. It was pretty cool. So I think it's cool. So we're going to keep doing it.
No, it is cool.
Yeah. So I don't know if you have the slide handy, Jeremy, of the about the survey that's going on. Do you have that? Can you put that up? This is a survey that needs to be taken by everybody in the San Juans, and all you have to do is put your phone up to that QR code. This poster's in a few places. Maybe we can. It's in the courthouse. It's up somewhere down by the ferry terminal on San Juan Island. We are going to have it on our site here. But if you have not taken this survey, you need to. And there's 2 weeks left to take this survey. This is going to, this is a survey that is helping the people building the community water taxi figure out what the fare should be to be able to move people around the different islands. So
So this says inter-island ferries. Who is this group taking the survey?
this is community water taxi.
Nice.
I'll just read from the bottom of the survey. You go ahead and leave that up, Jeremy, for a second. This is the thing you need to look for. This is at the courthouse. This is down at the terminal somewhere. Maybe we can get it on the bulletin board at Salty Fox. I meant to do that today. And this is going to be, is it on our website yet? This is going to be on our website this afternoon. But at the bottom, the community water taxi is a group of concerned island residents looking for solutions to an inter-island walk-on water taxi service with San Juan County when Washington State Ferries cannot perform this need. So they have, they tell me, I haven't taken it yet, I'm going to take it this afternoon. They tell me it's pretty brief and to the point, but it's giving them data that they need to have. Here, you can just have this. Data that they need to have in working with the state to try to get this community water taxi taken to a more permanent state. So,
That's going to be a great survey because we'll know what's going on out there.
what do you?
It's fine. She'd like to know.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah.
What your camera is? Your camera, whatever
So
that
when
number
I'm
is.
talking, I just look at that
Yeah,
one.
that's one. Well, you can talk to us, but if you want to
Or you can,
play to your camera, that's your
you
camera.
can go on the other side. What's our background? You can go in the store and talk from aisle 7, which is pretty cool. So let's.
I have a request, Jeremy. When you get a chance, can you turn the heat down? It's where I feel like a rotisserie chicken at King's right now.
That's where I want to go.
I would like to put up an ad for King's every day about what they have on the hot food bar. I guess there's a rhythm to that. There's certain soups on a certain day. And I go there a lot, but I still haven't figured out the items to look forward to. And then like last night I was there and it's like, ooh, I wish I would have known. It was meatball night. I would have done that.
Moo.
So anyway, Washington State Ferries is unavailable to us sometimes inter-island, and the community water taxi has been working very hard. They've done hundreds of trips now for moving people around when the inter-island is not operating. They're trying to take it to a next level, and we're really, really grateful. This is a true grassroots solution. So if you participate in the survey, you're actually helping that out. So
I like that it's local.
very local.
Locals helping locals.
Yeah.
Very, very local. It's actually based, if you had to say where it's based on Orcas. Tom Bridge, who's kind of the genesis of it all in the beginning, is from Crane Island. But I would say probably most of what they're doing is moving Orcas people to here, some of them for medical appointments at Peace Island, a lot of them for jobs here. It's just really amazing. But we've done a story on that. It's deeper down the page, but if you want to see our coverage of the community water taxi, we have done a report on that. So, Norris, I'm going to let you start this interview.
Well,
This lovely lady.
Theresa Semindinger. Theresa, thank you for coming very much. We really appreciate it. Now, we saw on the bottom you're called the Horse Lover Forever. Is that?
Horse. Oh, I forgot what I said.
I know.
Horse crazy lady.
But how long have you, tell us about how you got into horses. What's the story?
I can't remember not being into horses. My very first word was my word for horse. And my mother said, "That's nice, Terry. Most little babies say mama." But I pointed at one and said my word for horse.
Oh, my God.
I've been like that my whole life. I think at when I was about 9, we used to go to my uncle's ranch. I lived for that, to go to it, my great uncle. And my dad later said, "We hardly ever went." I said, "I know, Dad." But when we got there, I would get up at dawn and sneak out and and
You sneak out?
yeah, I'd sneak out and climb on the horses and ride them around with no saddle or bridle. Before that was an in thing.
How tall were you?
Oh, I was just a little kid. I'd climb up the fence.
This is California.
Yes, out near Riverside, San Jacinto. And then I'd have to sneak back because my dad would have shot me. 'Cause
I hope not.
I wasn't allowed to do anything so I would sneak back. But I think the guy at my uncle knew, and he was a horse whisperer back before that was a thing. And so
Wow.
he didn't say anything because he knew about my dad. And then when I was about 9, this friend of the family, and you didn't speak to grown-ups unless they spoke to you, Catholic girl, and strong German father. And he followed me one day, and he said, and I kept trying to ditch him because he would find out, and finally I gave up and I was headed back, and he catches up with me again. I'd only spoke to him maybe once or twice in my life for about a paragraph. And he said, so what do you want to be when you grow up, Terry? And I was just like, I don't know, whatever my dad says, And he said, well, there must be something. He kept asking me. Finally, he said, there must be something you want. And I said, a horse. Because my parents told me that people like us didn't have horses. We didn't have any money. And so he said, oh, how are you going to do that? And I said, a horse ranch? And he said, nah, take it from me. There's no money in that. And so then he stopped for a few minutes, and he said, why don't you be a stewardess? And I said, why? And he said, because they could afford to have a horse. And I said, okay, I will. What's a stewardess? I'd never been on a plane until 9 years later when I went to Stewardess College in Dallas.
What airlines was
American.
American.
it? American.
That would be
Yeah,
American.
we used to live in Dallas, and they were big.
American Airlines.
We had more
Stewardess
pilots from American Airlines than we had anything.
That was pretty
Yeah.
much the whole airport, really.
Yeah. It's funny how many people on the island are past pilots and stewardesses.
So, how long were you a flight attendant?
Well,
I think stewardess is not the word anymore.
it is for me because
Well,
when we
because-
were stewardesses, that's when we made good money because they offered you $350 a month to start. But don't worry, after 2 years, you'll get this much. But they hired only pretty ladies. You couldn't be fat. You couldn't be pregnant. You couldn't be married or any of that. You couldn't be old. And so they knew you would quit because in those days, everybody got married in a couple of years out of school. All my high school kids were married when I went to my high school 10-year reunion. The guys would dance with me and say, don't worry, Terry, you'll find the right guy. I was
Oh,
the
my
only one
God.
who'd never been married. And the girls were in the bathroom crowded around me going, you've been where? And you've done what? Oh, no. Yeah, so it was a blast until I was 28 when they took me in and they said, you're really lucky because you're so good at your job. We kept you 2 extra years, but we're going to have to let you go at 28. You're too old.
What do they do now? How
Oh,
are they
it's,
discriminatory?
yeah.
They can't
no,
be.
they can't be. I
So
actually
you could have a
had,
200-year-old flight attendant if I mean, so what if she can
Yeah.
do it?
Yeah, as long as they're not cranky, they're pretty cranky.
Well, you
now,
don't. You
too.
know what? Yeah, I know. I mean, we
In
can go into
those
that
days-
topic.
Well,
those days,
but
you
they're
know.
still doing that. I mean, they're still doing that that thing where you have to pay these dues really bad in the beginning, and then if you can hang on, I think the period now is really long, like 5 years or a really long time before you're paid well. And they have flight attendants sleeping in their cars at SeaTac because, have you seen that?
No.
I'll give you that article, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Seattle Times reported on that about 2-3 months ago.
Well, maybe they live far away and they have to come down to catch their flight early or something.
Well,
I never heard of that.
it's, I'll find that article and
Yeah.
we'll put a link up. If you're not a subscriber, then that's too bad. But if you're a subscriber to the Seattle Times, which I recommend, because
How much
it's
does it cost to be a subscriber?
I don't know, but it's worth it.
Yes, it is.
It's worth it. So
No, I
anyway,
meant to us.
it's not a new problem. I mean, it's a problem that's still there as far as having to pay these dues and people probably struggling more than ever.
Well, back then, you guys had to be really, really courtesy. It was
Oh,
a
yeah.
pleasure to fly. You were like the salespeople of the sky. Nowadays, it's like you go through TSA, they beat you up, they steal your luggage, they take your shoes off, and then they go, "Have a nice flight."
Yeah.
I mean,
and then
they've
you get on
already-
the flight and it's not nice.
It's not.
I know.
I mean,
it's really
I've-
sad.
I've been there. It's
Bottle
just
of water's $5.
Yeah. We used to have a bar in the back and places to sit and play cards and a piano bar upstairs. And all the movie stars flew then because they didn't have their own jets, and everybody was just happy to be on board. And if you were a senior, you could pick out your flight. I worked 13 days a month at the end, and I flew to New York, and then that was 5.5 hours, and then I got there, and it was 3 hours earlier for me, so I could party late. And then I came back to LA, and then I was off for another 3 or 4 days, and my Jones was horses, and they were $25 a month, and travel and adventure, and I could do that. And I wore a uniform to work, so the only clothes I bought were for fun.
Isn't that
It
great?
was a blast.
I'll bet. Those were the days. Nowadays, if you ask for a cup of coffee, or let's say a second cup, they're basically shame you and go, "Do you mind if we serve the rest of the passengers?"
Oh, is that we would have gotten written up.
I know. It's so totally changed. It's an Airbus now.
So I read in your bio that that your friends encouraged you to take action.
Yes.
But
The
you
head of the
didn't.
feminists.
You didn't, and then you write in your bio that you kind of now wished you had.
I wish I had just for females, but I was very shy and not very self-confident already, and that really kind of shot my confidence.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm glad though, because I kind of knew I didn't want to serve food my whole life, so I ended up starting a rock and roll clothing store in Hollywood. And we did really well, and I had all these great one-of-a-kind clothes, and so I still have them, but they don't fit anymore. They shrunk.
Who were
yeah,
some of the
right.
musicians that paid
Everybody.
everybody? All
John
the
Lennon,
upcoming?
we played football with the Eagles. Chicago had us over to their house.
Oh, my
everybody,
God.
you name it. Cher came in, and we had socks, knee-high socks, and they were like $4 a pair. Outrageous! You could buy $4 would buy you 3 white socks. And she came in, and she took one of every kind. We had like 16 different colors, and I was just like, wow.
Oh, what happened to that?
Robert Plant wanted the shirt I was wearing. They were one of a kind, and my boyfriend made me take it off and give it to him.
Oh,
Well,
no.
that's a different story.
Yeah, it is. We're on a totally different. Well, then I quit. One day I woke up and I looked in the mirror and I wasn't smiling, and I was kind of famous for my smile. I was Miss American Airlines Smile Girl. Anyway,
What does that mean?
They were secretly taking photos of us, and we didn't know about it. And this guy walked on the plane. I used to take the position that you took the tickets, which I don't know why everybody didn't. Everybody else was inside. The girls had to lift the big suitcase overhead.
Oh, no.
The girls had to carry the big garment bags back. So I took tickets. This guy came up, asked me if he could take my picture. Well, yeah. And then at the meeting, a month after I got fired, the big surprise was, and we've had this contest you didn't know about. The winner wins 2 tickets to Hawaii, and here she is, Miss American Airlines Smile Girl, me.
Whoa.
And all my friends were laughing, and they took it
Awkward.
down really fast.
Awkward.
3,000 stewardesses. Anyways, onward and upward. I moved to San Francisco. I woke up, realized I wasn't smiling. I'm an outdoors person. So I packed up my German Shepherd and my Appaloosa and moved to San Francisco. I had $80 to my name. I knew 2 people.
Wow, that's a risk. But you've been taking risks a long time. So tell us, once we're through with this flight attendant, how did you get into some of these trips you've taken?
Oh, thank God Miles happened.
Miles. Oh. The things you get for free for flying.
Yes.
Or
for
charge card.
Yeah, I put every cup of coffee, everything on there. I always have a trip in my back pocket anytime. I think it's the best. Oh, I love it. And in the year 2000, my husband blasted off, and my girlfriend came up to visit me, one of my best buddies, and she said, "You remember 5 years ago when I just moved to the barn?" I have to be careful. People think I'm saying the bar. The barn, that's where where our horses are, and it's a conglomerate of girls, usually. Couple guys that are smart. Anyways, she said, remember when we talked, after 20 minutes, we found out we both had this dream to do an African safari on horseback. And we'd heard
What?
about this older guy, really old, like 55.
Oh.
That came around, and he was starting this business back then where he would go and he would suss out the whole place, figure out, make sure they were good horses, make sure they fit, there was good food and accommodations, and then he was selling it. It's called Equitours. It's still around.
Ecotourist.
Equitours.
In Africa.
horses. Yeah, well, they're all
Oh,
over.
aqua,
I've done
like
it. I've done
equestrian.
it in Peru. I've ridden Peruvian pasos up to the Machu Picchu, and I've stayed in a glass hut over the Amazon for 10 days.
Okay, well, you're going through that way too fast. The first one was Peru. What did you do in Peru?
We stayed in a grass hut on the Amazon with the local people for 10 days. Same girl, and then and rode around with the native people and stuff. And then we went from there. We rode Peruvian pasos through Ecuador.
What's that?
It's a kind of horse that paces. They're really fun to ride. They kind of go like this instead of.
Oh,
I
never
have-
heard of that in any of the westerns I watched.
Well, I have Tennessee Walkers, and when you watch westerns,
Oh,
yes, the stars are almost always on Tennessee Walkers or Pacers because they're really easy to look good riding. John Wayne, Lone Ranger.
otherwise they get thrown off or
No,
just
they wouldn't get thrown off, but they
Yeah,
don't
the camera would,
Yeah.
the person would be
riding really
jiggling.
awful. You can tell when
Excessive
some-
jiggling.
There's
Oh
people,
no,
There's people that ride like this, and then there's people that are like, and
that's more like me, I think.
Well, that's a difference in the horse too.
So when you watch a movie, you're really, if there's a horse involved, and the rider, you're really paying attention in a way that the rest of us aren't.
Somewhat, but mostly I'm into the story. But if somebody's really awful, it's just like, oh, geez, get off its mouth. Because, those ones that pull really
Right.
hard, and the horse is like,
Ah,
yeah. Anyways, yeah, so
so that's Peru, and your
yeah.
next one was
Australia, riding in the Snowy River Mountains, because I saw that movie and I wanted to do it. And I went with this guy. If you're a horse girl, you'll know who I'm talking about, Ray Hunt. I got to
Ray
go-
Hunt.
Oh, yeah, he was like the original whisperer, the original well-known horse whisperer, famous. And I got to go with him. He took a girlfriend that I used to ride endurance.
How long was that voyage or ride?
The ride was about 4 days. Everywhere we went, like we'd stop in a McDonald's, and the girls would go, "Tell him this is for free if he'll sign the napkin." It was really fun. And then I went and swam the Great Barrier Reef and stuff. Anyway, onward, back to
On
safari.
horseback.
Not
So
on
did-
the Great Barrier
Okay, well
Reef.
there you go. Not on the beach though. Did you run up and down the beach? There's a couple of pictures of you in the water.
That's here.
That's here.
Yeah.
Wow, is that hard to put that up?
There it is. It's right there.
There.
You did.
Oh, I'm looking to the wrong place. Wow, that's here.
Yeah, that's at South Beach.
Is that your? Did they allow that? It doesn't
Oh, yeah.
matter.
Of course they do.
I don't know.
And you better believe I fight for it.
Why not?
That
I-
is great.
I know how to make sure that they get good publicity, and the parks let us go. And we've had it forever.
But they won't let dogs
On the
without a
beach?
leash.
Well,
I
Is
guess
that
you're.
horse
Yeah,
on
I
a
guess
leash?
you're. I would say it is with the
It's like a leash to me.
It does.
the reason I'm laughing is she loved the water, and she wanted to lie down. The first thing they do is start pawing, and she sent a hoof full of salt water exactly to my face right before that.
What a beautiful horse.
Oh, isn't she cute?
Oh,
Her
wow.
name was Breeze. She was awesome.
Beautiful.
I loved her. We
That-
should show the safari thing and move on, shouldn't we? I'm afraid you're going to run out of time.
Oh, we've got the
Don't worry.
rest
There's
till we
another
run out of
picture.
terabytes.
Oh, that's my current horse. Her name is Raven, and she is a Tennessee Walker. And so was Breeze, by the way. But that's Raven, and that's the very first time I ever rode her. That's why I have a helmet on, because you are dumb not to wear a helmet.
Oh
the
yeah,
very first
what
time.
was that guy? Superman.
Christopher Reeves.
Oh, that was
Yeah,
horrible.
but it wasn't because of a helmet. It was because he was jumping and he wasn't a good rider.
He wasn't a good rider.
He wasn't a good rider.
Oh, so when you say Tennessee Walker, that means what? The
They
little
move.
paw.
Well, you know what it was?
I've
your-
seen
Way
these
back-
guys go like this.
Lift your mic
That's
up a
more
little.
prancing.
Yeah.
Is that
No,
good?
closer
I
like
don't know how
that.
to make
yes.
that. Is that closer?
Closer. Yes. There.
Okay. Eat
So
the thing,
I've
right?
I've heard they do this dance. Dun dun dun.
Oh, that's dressage.
Oh, that's
That's
not
a different
Tennessee-
type of horse. A Tennessee Walker moves
Oh.
really smooth, and it's really hard to ride a regular horse with a Tennessee Walker.
Really? Take that just a hair away. Perfect. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
And then
We're still. It's good.
okay, and then the regular horses, when they walk or they trot, they can't stay at the pace that Tennessee walkers do. They have to canter, and then everybody gets all fouled up. So that's why I have Tennessee walkers, because I take my horse off island and go down and go horse camping with girlfriends in Oregon, and everybody in Oregon has them because they're so smooth. They were developed because way back when, the plantation owners were big fat guys
Yeah.
with the slaves doing all the work.
Right.
And so they didn't want to jiggle, so they developed this horse called a Tennessee Walker, and it's made of Justin Morgan, or Morgan horses, which a man named Justin Morgan developed, the first American-only breed. And it's Morgan horses, Arabians, they're a quarter of each, thoroughbred and pacers. And they came up with this breed that's really smooth to ride.
You know what I like about your story already? And
Uh-oh.
we just met a few minutes ago, but you're really good at moving outside your comfort zone and just trying new things. And it's not that you had to. You just chose to. I really love that line about you looked in the mirror and the
I
person wasn't smiling.
Yeah.
And
That's good.
that's all it took, right? And you're just like, okay, life's too short.
Not happy.
What's next? And you never moved in small increments. You dove into new, completely new things, sometimes in new places. What brought you here?
Well, after Marin County, which I loved, I lived there for 39 years. I lived in Mill Valley back when it was a sleepy little town
Right.
that it was undiscovered, and it was great. It was on the side of a mountain. No
Before
one lived
tourism
there.
got a hold of it.
Yeah, and I used to ride my horse down over the mountain, down into town. I can see me waving on there, sorry.
That's okay.
Down into town and dressed as witches with my girlfriends and go to the school on Halloween and pass out candy and stuff to
Nice.
the kids.
On horses.
And the kids all thought it was neat. My daughter was going, she has a mask on. What is she doing? And she was in kindergarten. The last time I rode into town there was right before I left, and my girlfriends and I go, let's go show these rich people, because had become Beverly Hills North.
Right.
And let's go show them what a horse looks like. So we rode down into town. We were stopped at a stop sign. And by then I had a real tall Arabian sage. And where I was sitting at the stop sign, all of a sudden my horse jumps. And I thought, I turn around and I look, and this lady that's sitting in this XKE behind me goes like this. I don't know why he's jumping, looks the other way. So I thought about it, and I went back and I said, did you just bump my horse's leg with your car? And she goes, he needs to get out of my way.
Oh, gosh.
I'm on him.
Was it a
And I said-
convertible?
No. And I said to her, your XKE is the perfect height. You're lucky my horse didn't kick the shit out of your car. I said, you are.
Well,
'cause
if it
that's
was
like right there.
convertible, you could have backed the horse up and, jeez, crying.
Hit the button.
Hit the button. Go, horse.
Then
Go.
I turned around and I went back and I got in line, and then I turned my horse back and I said, you're the reason I'm moving. And I went back and I sold my house for the amount of money that it took to buy the house up here. My husband had left, and I had picked out the house. It was this funny house, and it was kind of out of the way. But this was 20 years later, and I sold it for enough money to buy my house now, which I love.
Oh.
You asked how I got here. I went on vacation with my husband when we were still married. My daughter was 4, and he worked in radio in San Francisco at KSAN, which was the big station. And he was between jobs. He went to change jobs 8 times, and I said, look, our kid's going to start kindergarten. We're never going to travel again. Let's wait before you get another job, because he would change a lot. That was very volatile business. So he said, well, what do you want to? I said, Europe. Where should we take her? And he said, oh, we're not taking a baby there. So he decided he wanted to get an RV and travel around the U.S. And I said, okay, because I'd already done that. But I said, not an RV. I'll wave goodbye. I said, and he said,
Bye. See me in the rearview window.
and he said, well, what would you do? And I said, Volkswagen bus. So he found out that they were making the last Volkswagen buses, and I think it's here. She was rose-colored, and I called her Gypsy Rose Van. But so we drove
I think
up.
those are Vanagons, I think.
Yes.
Somebody could call
Yes,
in and
Vanagon.
confirm
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Vanagon. Mhm.
So we came up, we went we went down the bottom of the Rockies, went all the way up to Banff, went to Yellowstone, went to Cody Museum, went all over, and Zion, all those places. I had worked in Zion as a kid. And then we came back for a wedding in Berkeley. And then came up the Oregon coast to here and went over to Vancouver Island. And when we came back, my husband, who was always the boss, had misread the ferry schedule, and we were stuck here.
Sounds familiar, kind of.
So I went into town. First of all, we got sent to County Park, which is the best campsite ever. Orcas
here.
are right there.
Here.
And they came between us and
World
the rock
class.
in those days. And then we went to town, and they had a native art gallery that had native art, and they were showing it like it was, like it was something good. And they had a whale museum, which I couldn't even believe, even though it's about orcas, not whales. And then they had, I just was this cute little town, and I just loved it. We went home, and 12 years later, my husband left, and my girlfriend came up and said, we're going to go do that African safari. And I moved up here. And then my girlfriend came and said, we're going to go do that.
Where was she from?
She had been in Mill Valley when I knew her, but had moved back she lives in Palo Alto.
Now, you brought a short video on your trip. Can you kind of narrate that for us?
About the African.
Yes, it's
Yes.
on the screen.
Okay. I know it goes really fast. Yeah. Somebody just said it's hard to know it's what we did. It's
Yeah, talk about what he's talking
an old friend of mine, after me, after I decided to settle down, his girlfriend after me was a movie star, and she donated a bunch of money to this place called Giraffe Manor. Giraffe Manor is outside of Nairobi near the polo fields. This thing keeps falling off.
Yeah, push it back.
You have too
And-
much hair.
Thank God.
Used to be. Look at that. Anyways, Giraffe Manor was
That's
built
you?
by these. Yeah, I know.
But okay, nice.
Shush.
I mean,
Don't be sexist.
I don't know how I
Don't be sexist.
No, I'm
This-
just
this
saying
is
the
how
color.
my hair looks
well,
now.
that's what I was going
I
to
used
say.
to dye it. No, that was
That's
my
what
hair.
I know.
I had
You-
brunette hair.
I did not
forever.
know that.
Yep, I was brunette until a few years ago when
I mean, I
when
had-
the pandemic started. I let it go.
I had brown hair one time.
Did you?
Yeah. I don't know what happened.
Anyway, so Giraffe Manor was started by this super rich family. I thought it was the Rothschilds, but I read about it last night in my diary, and it was a different super rich European family. And they had built this big fancy stone mansion near the polo fields because when they left their bigger giant stone mansion and came to watch polo, they needed some place to stay and entertain.
Sure.
Wow.
Well, the people the grounds people found these baby giraffes that had been abandoned outside the house. So they brought them home and they just threw hay outside and they stuck around. They grew up. They were allowed to do whatever they wanted to. They ran off with the local wild herd, came back pregnant. This is 3 or 4 generations later. And my friend's friend had donated money to this place, so he got us to be able to stay there. My girlfriend's, and the giraffes were wild right outside the door. I love giraffes, and I was just like, oh my God. My girlfriend said, I'm not paying $250 a night. This was in the year 2000. I said, well, I am. You go stay at Best Western. So we went.
That's what it costs for a box nowadays.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have any drafts.
Yeah, and we got there, and it was really unbelievable. The flights in London airport was stopped, dead. They had the worst traffic jam ever. Our flight from LA, they said, was going to leave 8 hours later. Wendy said, should we go to my house? And I said, no, I used to fly. I'm staying right here. It left 6 hours later. We got to London. They said, forget about it. It's not going to happen. And I said, okay, well, I'll feel better if we go to the
Keep going.
if we go to the terminal for Africa. And she goes, oh, well, you have to take a shuttle bus. I said, okay, where do we? Nope, they're not running. Nothing's running. Forget it. Go have tea. I told my girlfriend, nope, we're going to get to the gate. So I finally said, I used to be a stewardess. Isn't there baggage carts going back and forth? So she said, well, yeah. And I said, okay. So I got us down there. We got on it. The guy is like smoking a cigarette and hanging out. And I said, when do we leave? He says, no flights are leaving. And he says, we'll leave after I finish the cigarette. And I said, how long does it take to smoke a cigarette? And I went, throws it down, stomps on it, drives us over there. I'm telling you this for a reason. We get there, we get into customs. We're in London. Get into customs, and the lady, I see our flight is right there, and they've made a makeshift customs because everything's shut down. And it was only because I insisted. So the lady says, okay, and she takes my girlfriend's passport, and she looks at it, and I said, is this going to go very long because they're calling our flight? She looks at me, gives me a dirty look, and disappears with my passport. Disappears with it. So I waited about 5 minutes. They call last call, and I thought, I'm not missing this. I leaned over the counter. Old stewardess grabbed the chalk, put the X on the suitcase. Remember those days? This was before 9/11. And put the chalk on the suitcase and said, go. And we got on the flight, and they closed the door, and we went to Africa.
Whoa, and what happened to your passport?
I'll tell you that in a minute.
Okay.
So we get there, and we finally get to the Giraffe Manor, and it's at night, and they make us sit through this coursed meal because that's what they do. They've been waiting for us. Finally, we get to bed. We've been up for 38 hours. And we're laying in bed, and I can't sleep. I'm too excited. We're there, and I go, Wendy, are you asleep? She goes, no. I go, let's go play with the giraffes. Cue the pictures. So we went outside, and we just stood in the dark for a minute. And that
That's
says
incredible.
it says 2015 because that's when somebody sent me this, but that's not what it was. It was
2002.
yeah, stop. So, oops, it's hard to stop.
yeah.
Well, it's tough.
Sorry.
Doing 12 things at once.
So we go outside,
Got it done.
and we're used to large animals. It's pitch black, and we have giraffes just all over us. So I start turning around really slow, and I have them wrapped all the way around me. Their heads are like 4 feet long, literally. I mean,
And their tongues look pretty long.
yeah, and they're pointy and black, and they wrap them around the leaves to pull them off. So when we'd hold out a treat, they'd wrap,
But do they have horns? It looks like they have horns, but do they ever use them for anything? Defense
they do
or
use
anything?
what they do when they're fighting. I knew you were going to ask me that. I looked it up.
I saw a horn
They
there.
wrap
some-
their neck around their foe, and it's usually another male fighting over girls, and conk them with their head, and then but the horns, it's just like being poked really hard with something, but they're covered in skin, and they have a tuft on top. They look like a joke. Anyway, so
Yeah,
they're out there, and they're doing that. We're out in the dark, and all of a sudden, the lights go on. It's the middle of the night, and I go look at Wendy, and I go, busted. And so they come out, and they're like men with turbans and robes and all this stuff, and they look out. They're like all
They
nervous.
think you're poachers.
And then they look, and they see, no, they're worried about us getting hurt. And then it won't stay.
I know. But
Anyway, so they look at us, and they decide we're okay, and they go back in. She goes, what do we do? I go, keep playing. They're going to kick us out any minute. So we keep playing with them, and they come out with a tray of hot chocolate and a big china thing with a lid on it, and we took it off. I said, what's that? We're not hungry. And he takes it off, and there's like these giant horse cookies that are, made out of grain and stuff.
Yeah.
And so we had a blast. That other picture you're seeing is Zanzibar. That's at the end of this talk.
So the horse part of it.
We're going,
Okay.
he went too fast.
Well, it's hard because it's
Yeah, I
a
know.
very small video.
I know, and I'm sorry.
That's all right. This is the first time we put it up.
Okay, it's back one.
Sailboats.
Back one. That's okay.
think that's one of
us
yours,
at
Jeff.
the giraffes, and we'll talk about that guy later. That's more of the giraffes. Continues one at a time if you can.
Well, that's on a
I know
video.
it was unbelievable. That's from Zanzibar.
Boy, beautiful water. It looks like a reef out there,
Yeah, this was the beginning of the trip, and this is us on the other side chasing wildebeest. These ladies came. They were Masai Mara. The guy picked us up in the middle of the night. Early the next morning. We're like dead dogs, and we have to drive for 5 or 7 hours to get there, and then we'd have to drive forever across rough back. Once we got there, we never saw another car, telephone pole, person. Other than Maasai, and
too. Are they the ones that jump up and down real high?
oh yeah, they do.
That's their dance, and
Yeah.
they'll jump up 8 feet sometimes.
I have a necklace my kitten found, unfortunately, and it has these long strings like that, and they would wear those when they get married. The women make them for the men, and they jump up and down, and it does that.
That was
Anyway, so we get out there, and they come and bring all these little, odds and ends, handmade. Like I have a seed pod that's about like that, and it has a stick inside of it, and it's a bell. I have a pipe. The pipe's made out of stone. It's hundreds of years old, passed down.
Nice.
I shouldn't have bought it. The kid probably. I feel bad about it. Who
Why?
knew? Well, because as a kid, and it was in his family, and I gave him, like $20. What's he gonna do with that?
Yeah.
You know.
But that's like $2,000.
So in the time we have left, why don't we shift gears to the film festival? Want to talk about the film festival? Anybody?
You're not going to talk about the safari?
We can talk more about the safari.
Yeah, we're not
Okay.
done with the safari
I
part.
thought
This
sorry,
is-
I went on. I thought you
No,
guys
no,
said
no.
it didn't
That's
matter.
one of the important things that you did that was almost fatal, I understand, was Costa Rica. You went out there and got bit by some crazy.
Oh no, that was Belize.
Belize.
Yeah, riding horses.
So tell us about
That's
that.
not interesting. This
Well,
is
yeah,
interesting.
no, we like
Okay.
near-death experiences. No.
About 3 or 4 years ago, I told Wendy we needed to do something fun again. So we went down to Belize to go and ride horses in the jungle, equatours again. We rode for about 4 or 5 days in the jungle, no problem. Then we went out. I wanted to go out and snorkel. The reef out there is almost as good as the Australian reef, which is all dive.
Which K is it? The downtown. I mean, I know there's a K
I wasn't
Cocker.
prepared
There's
for this.
but
Keep going. K.
Belize. It's K Cocker. You guys didn't stay in.
Ambergris.
Yeah.
I can't
yeah.
believe I pulled it up.
But my God, when you land in the main of Belize, that place at night has mosquitoes that come in from the woods that just totally, they'll eat you alive.
I've
They're-
seen those, yeah.
Yeah. And then during the day, they go back.
But this isn't the mosquito-borne thing. So then I went from there to Ambergris Cay, and we went out swimming with sharks for 4 days.
Oh, nice.
No problem. We come back, and the last day I go, man, when I get home back to Friday Harbor, it's going to be cold, and I'm wearing shorts. I'm going to the beach. And I walked through the lobby, and they had this indoor plant thing, and this lady is raking the leaves. Since then, I've read that's the big no-no. And she had on a hat and a thing around and a mask and covering up her and stockings and dishwashing gloves and all this.
I'm
like that.
guessing.
What the heck is she
COVID.
doing? And I didn't pay. No,
No,
I was this pre-COVID, and I was just like, wow. And I'm standing there watching her, trying to figure out what she's doing. And she looked at me, and she looked really nervous. And all of a sudden, I smacked the back of my leg, and whatever it was, and it really stung. It was like not like a mosquito bite. It really stung. And then it went to the other leg. I smacked. She looks at me. She drops her thing and ran away, and I never saw her again. Right about that time, they called lunch. I went to lunch. I didn't think anything more of it. It turns out there's something there that you can only get into trouble at dusk, or if someone's raking leaves in the daytime, it stirs up these sand flies. And the sand flies bite you, and they carry this bug. I hate talking
Some
about
bacteria
this.
thing.
Oh, it's beyond that. It's flesh-eating.
Well, it's a good thing it didn't kill you.
No,
But
barely.
so tell us about the horse that you rode through the jungle.
That
In
Africa.
Yeah, no, we're back in Belize.
He was boring. They gave me a horse that was like bucking and stuff and was just like silly and would dance around and stuff. And
So it wasn't a great horse.
Yeah, it was okay.
But did you sleep at night on the ground and
No.
Okay.
Slept in a place. That wasn't, Africa was way better.
well, okay. Then we go back to Africa.
Yeah, so the first day the guy lined up all the horses and had him short tied to a wall, these bunch of trees, and he said, okay, we're going to pick out your horses. Slept for days, and I'm like, oh, now okay. And we get out there, and I look, and oh my God, each one was beautiful. They were like thoroughbreds, and they were perfect shape and really pretty, and I never saw stable horses like that.
Wow.
Except for the one at the end, that bony gray. I hope I don't get that one. Okay. He asked every single person before me, and they all went over and they'd stand in front of them. What do you think of this? Well, the stride looks good. Yeah, look. And finally he gets to me. He says, Theresa, for you, I have saved the best one. I'm thinking, yeah, right.
The gray one?
Yeah, of course.
Oh.
That was all that was left. And then, but then I just told myself, so what? I'm in Africa.
Yeah.
I made it. I don't care. That was the best horse I've ever ridden. At the end of the trip, about halfway through the trip, he said, well, some of the people have decided, because people were getting dumped, my horse, I could get it to do anything. And he said,
Horse whisperer.
but some of them were, kind of not that hadn't ridden a whole lot. Everybody else, we were the two American girls. And so that was, like, yeah, Raj. And they were like, yeah, English and Irish.
So what's going to be your next adventure?
Okay.
Because I know you go on vacations down to the beach is it Oregon or Washington? That's long. It's called Long Beach, I think. And
That
you
one.
ride up and down that.
Well, yeah, but I like better Bandon because there's all kinds of, like prehistoric shells and stuff like that there. I really like that beach.
And you take your own horse? Or
Yes,
so you got a trailer.
yes.
Is that kind of difficult? Do they like that, to get in a trailer?
They don't mind. I have a really nice trailer. It's a 2-horse slant, aluminum.
Nice. Is it hard to pull it? What do you have to pull it with?
Toyota 4Runner.
Wow. So you're dialed on that.
Yeah, but I've run through a couple of them, not with this trailer. I ran through Jeeps, and they would last me about 5 years. Finally, when the last one broke, my brother said, "What are you going to get next?" And I said, "A Jeep. I'm a Jeep girl." And he says, "Oh, yeah." We call him the car guy. He says, "How many Jeeps have you had now?" I said, "Well, let me see, 5." And he says, "And how many years?" And I said, let me see, about 12. And he goes, "That should tell you something. Get a Toyota."
Don't.
Anyway, they asked me towards the end of the trip, if I would switch horses. And the other people wanted my horse. And I said, "Well, Tristan, whatever is fair." And he said, "Well, how do you feel about that horse?" And I said, "Well, when I'm gone, if he's missing, check my suitcase."
Super, super. Well, the film festival, you were going to ask about that.
I
Jeff?
I thought this was a good group to talk about the film festival.
Yes.
I'm the only one that's not directly affiliated
You're
with
going to
the
be.
film festival.
You're
I'm
going to
fine.
be.
I'm ready.
Super. Because volunteers are what we need. I'll tell you that.
Find a role for me.
Yeah.
What do you do with the film festival?
I sell their advertising, and I'm also their go-to girl. I put up 70 posters every time we have a new film showing around town.
You're the one.
Yeah.
And she's always there as the hostess.
A staple gun, or
Oh, no.
you just use the push pins.
Push
that are
pins,
already
and
on
I have one and Scotch tape depending on the location. And I also have been in charge of the Best of Fest films that we show once a month. Next month we have Buffy St. Marie's film, and it's my favorite from the festival last year. It's a great concert film, and it's free. Something to do on Friday night.
Something to Friday night. Free. We love it.
Do we have a good film festival here?
Oh, yes. We get word from the filmmakers that we have the best one they go to. It's the best organized. It's the best films. It's well run, and everybody's looking out for them. We used to have mobs before the pandemic came, and we're hoping to go back to that now that it's...
Attention all Washington State
We
veterans.
show great films. They kind of take over the town. We have them at the Grange, the Community Theater, the Palace. We've gone and visited some other film
Here's your
festivals.
video.
We've gone and visited some other film festivals.
Yeah.
And I know we're patting ourselves in the back, but ours is way better.
Yeah, it's true.
You do a lot. I think you do more programming throughout the year than a lot of others do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kind of continuous activity, which is nice.
And we try to have special events for like the students. And like last year we had a great film about Native Americans in Alaska, lived on an island, an hour ferry ride away. And the basketball team went from having really hard times to being the champs and beating, what was it, Anchorage?
Yeah.
Yeah, they beat the biggest, yeah. And
And
it was
they
a
had-
really big deal. So
It saved a lot of the residents on the reservation from disparity, alcoholism. That they got them going on a sport, and they all got into it. The parents were backing them, and it just changed the entire atmosphere of that place. And they really came out really well. Those guys are working hard.
You've been with the film festival for 7 years, is that right?
I think so, yes. And one last thing, a friend of mine who is a grandfather who has had several generations of kids going through the schools, and they're all into sports, he suggested that we show that again just for the students. And so we got pizza from Charles down at Pizza.
Dragon Pizza.
Yeah, and we got had the whole basketball team came, and they
And their
loved it.
coach.
And we thought that was a good thing to do.
And what's
Rob-
his
Rob-
name? The sheep farmer that put that whole thing on?
Rob Waldron,
Yes, Rob Waldron. We got to get him on too. He is
big
so unique.
troublemaker. And this year we're trying to get a special event for the teacher that does the art and the film to bring the kids to and see a film, because we're trying to encourage young filmmakers.
Good.
Last year we showed
Great.
for Spring Street, we showed them a film on Nepal because they were going there for their senior class trip.
Beautiful.
I'm just trying to say we do good stuff.
They really do. With the staff we have, it's all volunteer. It's just amazing how the volunteerism gets it all done.
Are the crowds starting to come back now post-COVID?
Well, it was a bit light the last film festival, and our film this week, this last month, January, had to be postponed due to weather. But the next week, I expect it to come back big time because we've got Buffy St. Marie, and it's
Yeah.
February 16th at the Grange.
To add a note to that, we did a survey for all the ferries, extrapolated some information. It turned out there were 3,000 less riders for that same time period before. So it was but it was people not coming to the island. And
Because they're afraid, because they don't know how the ferry system is unreliable. Are we allowed to say that?
yes, that's
yes.
one thing he does.
Yes,
is
I
the
say it every
ferries.
day.
He's like on the
Every day.
ferries. We
Every
put
day.
everybody up here and talk about the ferries.
When
Well-
I first came, it cost $25 and you could depend on it, no problem. That was 19 years ago. And then some politicians got together, and it was called the Marine Highway System. And politicians got together and decided that we didn't count and took the money.
Well, you know what? A lot of people that are not here and they're on the mainland, they actually consider that our own personal.
Yeah.
So
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, it is what it is, and there's a
And there's islands
state
all up and down the whole coast.
responsibility, right? But I hear both of you saying, and you're both associated with the film festival. I hear you both saying that the problems with the ferry and ferry reliability here are affecting the film festival.
Yes, they
attendance.
are.
Yeah.
And
But-
all the businesses in town.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yep.
And it, yeah.
Well, that's helpful to know that, and we've got that on tape, and we might use that in some other productions. But we hear this in so many ways from so many directions. I often refer to a presentation that Deborah Hoskinson made from the Bureau, the Tourism Bureau, just a couple months ago, and her data pinpoints exactly when it changed
Yeah.
from going up. Actually, 2023 looked like it was going to be a really good year.
Yeah.
And word got out about things like the Memorial Day catastrophe and 100 cars stranded here and walk-ons stranded here. And it seems like it took about 45, 60 days to see that in reduced bookings and reduced visits. And it's dramatic. I wish we had that chart handy. Maybe we'll keep that handy in the future because I talk about it about every day. But so, all the way through July, over, year over year, up over 2022, and then just overnight, practically, August under 2022, and stayed under 2022. And that's the last data that we had, was finish the year out under 2022. And 70% of the people who visit the San Juans come from Seattle. They don't come from Missouri, and they don't come from California. They come from Seattle. Well, guess who knows all about what's going on up here?
Yep.
They see it in the Seattle Times, and they see it on TV, and they hear about it. So,
Well, I'd like to add that my family my daughter lives in Venice, my granddaughter, and they don't come that much anymore. They used to come 2 or 3 times a
Yeah,
year, but
yeah.
they can't.
It's a
The
shame.
travel is huge. just to get there.
Yeah, it's a shame. And then if you can't be sure, if you can't be sure that you can get here when you expect and get home when you expect, then
Yeah.
it seems to be, there's many choices. It's a beautiful region. It's not just beautiful here. You have options, and you have options where you can say, well, like if I get stuck on Whidbey, I don't want to drive all the way around, but I could if I had to.
Yeah.
And it puts us in what they call in marketing a competitive disadvantage.
My daughter and her husband love to go out and eat. My daughter loves Roche Harbor. My daughter Rebecca and Dylan loves to go and play at the playground and stuff. I mean, they love it here. They spend a lot of
Sure.
money when they come.
Yeah.
I wish I had it.
It's just getting them here. And
Well, every time we take off the island, which is very rarely, we always take the little RV. So, and you're traveling in first class when you're on that ferry in an
Sure.
RV. And if you get, if you got to wait in line a couple hours,
take a
you're-
nap.
Yeah, you're watching TV.
I always think
or-
about that. I always
Yeah.
think how nice it would be to just, I'm going to lay down now because thanks. Thanks. We're not leaving for 2.5 hours from the time you said we were.
Yeah.
It's tough. But no, we can't all be driving around in RVs,
Well,
unfortunately.
I have a
Yeah, it takes
I have
up
a
too much room.
I have a Forerunner, and I have a Coleman blow-up bed that you blow up with the
Nice.
cigarette lighter, and I can sleep
We
all
should
day
do
back
that.
there. And I have a sleeping bag I carry with me.
We should do a segment on the different tricks and hacks that people do. I just learned sometime last winter, I think it was in the winter, but I realized that so we keep blankets in the car now, and no matter how cold it is, if you put the blanket over your head, it looks kind of bad, but
Yeah.
it looks weird, but just your body heat, and
Yeah.
your breathing can
Yeah.
keep it warm
Scarf.
enough. That's all you got to do.
Well, that's an
Right?
advantage. That's an advantage with a Tesla or
There we
electric
go.
or electric car.
So every
or-
single
or-
show,
wait, do you know
he-
I
we
a
have to
Tesla?
hear that this man
Here's
has
why.
a Tesla.
We got to boost our
Do you have
stock.
what kind of car do you drive?
Tesla.
Didn't know that.
Is that named after me? Tess?
I think so. Test, baby.
Me and your dog.
But electric cars have an advantage because you can run a
Right.
heater without running the engine.
Absolutely.
Wow. I
I-
didn't think of that.
And yeah, or air conditioning without running the
In
engine.
2021, I tried really hard to buy an ID4, a VW ID4. It's a great car. And that was the exact time when you could not buy anything. So I wound up with something different. But now, now it's too late. Now I have a car payment on something else.
Well,
but
Who would imagine you have to
that
be in line?
that
two or
went
three
through my
seconds?
mind.
Yeah.
That an electric car allows you to. Because now, like if you do it, it's kind of cheating. It's like if you have an internal combustion engine, you like sneak on the heater.
Oh,
long
I know.
enough
Let me
just to-
tell you.
And then you turn it off.
I've seen some potential
Yeah, I know.
aggression with people running their big giant,
Oh, yeah.
and you're sitting and you gotta. I don't know what do you get out and ask them to turn it off? I mean,
Give
you
them dirty
gotta,
looks. That works.
Dirty looks.
maybe from you,
There you go.
maybe from you.
I don't know. You could be pretty scary. So.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I forgot what it was for Halloween. I forgot, but you talk about a ferry kit. What do you consider a ferry kit?
I think that's
Sleeping bag,
Yep.
small little refrigerator.
What?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have
cooler.
a little
Cooler,
cooler
yeah.
that I keep cold stuff. I usually keep a couple of these frozen in the refrigerator so they can be the ice, and
Oh,
when you run out,
smart.
you got water.
Smart.
And
Blanket.
I have my sleeping bag, and then I have, of course, my saddle on the front seat.
saddle?
Of course.
Why would
and
you have a
bag,
saddle in the
I'm
ferry?
usually going someplace to
Oh,
ride.
that's it.
And a bag of shoes, a bag of clothes, and I'm a happy camper.
I like that because we always have the
Oh,
same.
and a backpack stove to make tea.
In the parking lot or inside the car?
No, that's after I get wherever I'm going that needs it, because there's a campground just south of the ferry thing.
A lot of people have a bottle of wine. They have plastic cups, and the most important thing is wine opener. Because I have been up in the top. Do you have a wine opener? Do you up in the top? No, I think you can get one up there.
That's
So
funny.
we're going to switch to radio here in a minute. But if anybody wants to call in at 360-745, hi Matthew, thank you.
745
2652. After we go switch over to radio, yeah, let's hear what you keep in your car on these, especially in the winter. It's really an issue in the winter. How do you pack your car? Or
I
your
would
vehicle
say
in
the
winter?
summer's worse because if you're stuck there on that line, that sun coming on for
Yeah.
Anacortes, I mean, I've seen people put blankets
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
It can get really hot.
So to be continued, we're going to switch over to our audio, which means we're going to go dark for a minute or two while Jeremy steps us down on our bit rate.
And we
And-
want to thank Theresa so much for
Yeah,
coming. It's
yeah.
such a great
Did you say-
story. It really
You didn't
is.
say Theresa, did you?
Theresa.
Don't listen to him.
No, I don't. Well, I
It's
never
T?
listened to him.
Catholic girl.
But I did hear you announce Theresa. Were you imitating a foreign accent, or do you go by Teresa or Teresa?
Wasn't there a famous
You told
Theresa?
a story where you were quoting, I think, someone with an accent. You said Teresa. It's Teresa.
I don't remember the story.
Okay,
Teresa.
Teresa. Or
Teresa.
Tess.
But
Tess,
yeah,
that's
you
what it
Tess?
was.
oh,
Tess.
yeah. Tess.
That might be. That's. Brought me to Tesla.
What kind of car do you have?
A Volkswagen.
Okay. I heard you had a Tesla.
Oh, no.
No.
No. Those
I-
are too efficient.
I
And-
was Terry till
But you
I
know
was
what?
30. Might have been Terry.
We want call-ins on electric cars because one of the problems if there's nowhere to charge one here, and we'll get to that on the
We'll
call.
get to that. We'll
What
get to.
happened to the station that was over by,
The bank.
yeah.
There's only two there, and they're occupied 90% of the time by people that.
All right, to be continued.
Yes, let's go.
We're going to step. It's going to go black for about 2 minutes. Please come back or stay with us. Jeremy, do they have to hit refresh when or does it just keep going when you? So you'll have to hit
Vote
refresh.
for the fairies.
There's
Vote
the
for
fairies.
the fairies.
And please hit refresh in a minute or two, and we will be back. Thank you.
Thank you.